Hey everyone. Oh, it's another Friday.
My God.
Oh, another Books and Brew. Look what I got. You didn't even see me make this. Another Potion of Restoration? I forgot the name of the drink. We made it on our Arcane Tavern stream. That was a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
I don't know how time works anymore.
The cat wants some.
This is 4 shots of stuff, man. This is why we weren't drunk. We
were getting there.
We weren't drunk.
Time still exists.
No, it doesn't. It was so weird, man. It's one of those things we do not Tech and Around, but oh my God, that's a callback. We do Books and Brew every Friday, and I always seem to it's always like a last minute thing where we're like, oh shit, today's Friday. What are we gonna talk about? Well, we have plenty to talk about, but we never.
I've been good.
Then I have. Little blackberry seed.
I was like, I gave you points to talk about.
Oh yeah. So this is the Potion of Restoration. It is muddled blackberries with half a lemon juice, gin, 3 shots of gin, and a shot of that bourbon, the blackberry bourbon.
It's blackberry brandy.
I'm getting my drinks mixed up.
But then we added ginger and more lemon to it, like ginger soda and lemon.
I did add ginger soda to this, and it is damn good. Muddle it up, shake it up, have yourself a time. That's what it's all about. What's going on, Static? So, a few announcements. We got some new followers who followed us during the time that we were not live. Morpa and Rich15 player, thank you so much for following.
I think that's Maropa. We always butcher his names.
Usernames are usernames, man. So there's a few things. Last time, I remember what we talked about last time. Do you know what we talked about last time? That's fine, because I do.
I know I gave you the talking points for it, but I don't remember.
We talked about damage types and conditions.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly. And that was, or I don't think damage types, we did talk about conditions, and that was like a special conditions that you can be in, like a grapple or restrained or other things that can happen to you either outside or inside combat.
I know we talked about levels of exhaustion.
We did talk about levels of exhaustion. That was fun. So I've got my special little bookmarkers here, which are Dragon Ball stickers, because I'm a fucking dork. I forgot his name, Tapion? I don't know. I need to rewatch Dragon Ball Z movies. They were pretty good. Some of them. Not the Broly sequels. Those aren't any good at all. So a few things. Let's see where it is. Some interesting things that you may not know whenever you go into D&D. First of all, we're going over the player's handbook. If you are want to get started in D&D, always start with this one, because this will give you sort of the breakdown of all the classic classes and subclasses. And then when you want to get into a little more experimental subclasses, get Xanathar's Guide and then Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Those are the 3. Yeah, those are like the 3 you really want to get. And if you really want to start expanding when it comes to books, you want to get the Total package, which is only like $10 or $20 or something. And that gives you access to or at least gives you more information about the Turtle race. Not Turtle, Turtle. There's also the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, which is a critical role thing, but that gives you access to like the Shadow. I think it's called like the Shadow. No. There's like the Shadow Fighter or something like that, where he can create clones of himself, which is pretty cool. As well as like Dudamancy, so you can get time spells and gravity spells, which are really cool. Excuse me, I want to get some more. And then last but not least, I think you want to get the Adventures of Sword Coast, or something along the Sword Coast is in the title of the book, and that gives you access to more like exotic races and classes and things like that. And of course, if you're a DM, get the Dungeon Master Guide.
Somewhere around here.
And if you want to go even further with the Dungeon Master Guide, you get yourself, I believe it's called like just Monster Manual, and that gives you a lot of monsters, which is fun. So a few things I want to talk about, some unknown stats or hurdles that you may go through whenever you're doing, playing a D&D game. First of all, is like environmental situations like falling. A lot of people don't actually understand that falling could, if you fall more than 10 feet, that can be potentially harmful for you. So it says here, every 10 feet that you fall, you take 1d6 bludgeoning damage, up to a max of 20d6. So, yeah, so if you were falling off, let's say, a cliff of 1,000 feet, we all know where this is going, you roll 20d6, and whatever that happens, that's the damage occurred to you.
You did.
You did.
Unless, like, I don't know. You're very weird.
I can't think of, unless you do fall, the spell Featherfall, like the moment you start to fall, because Featherfall doesn't last forever. It only lasts for like a minute, and as that minute goes on, you're actually falling slower. So generally what happens is that I think you fall, I think it may be 60 feet in 6 seconds, so, which is pretty far, which is why it's generally like really, really kind of scary to fall anything further than like maybe 60 feet, because you can get seriously hurt at 66. Another thing is suffocation. There's actually rules for holding your breath and going underwater. The idea is that every character, regardless of your Constitution modifier. Oh, never mind. No, there's a penalty. If you have a negative in your Constitution modifier, regardless if it's -2, -1, -3, you can hold your breath for 30 seconds. That's it.
That sucks.
Yeah. If you have a con modifier of 0, well, guess what? You can hold your breath for a minute. That's pretty good. I don't even know if I can hold my breath for a minute.
As Quinn?
No, as me.
Oh. I think I can.
For a minute?
I used to be really good at it.
I mean, now?
I haven't tried it now.
I don't know if I can. I think I have a con mod of a -1, man. I don't think I can hold my breath for a minute.
At least for 30 seconds. At least.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, I'm covering that negative. But let's say you have, well, a +1 to your con or a +2 to your con. That means you can hold your breath for a minute plus your modifier. So if you have a modifier +4, let's say you're the barbarian of the group, you can hold your breath for 5 minutes. That's an Olympian. That's pretty damn good. I don't know offhand how long a person can hold their breath maximum. I think it may be like 6 minutes or something.
I think it's 3 minutes.
How much?
So I think it's 3.
3? Chat, maybe you can look that, or you can look it up. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, what's the longest someone's ever held their breath? It would be very interesting. But yeah, after you lose your breath, you start to choke. And it says here, at the start of your next round, the moment that minute goes up, you drop to 0 hit points, and you start to die. You also can't regain any hit points or be stabilized until you can breathe again.
Shit.
How long can someone hold their breath?
Somebody, hold on.
24 minutes?
24
Damn.
minutes and 3 seconds.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
It says most people in good health can approximately hold their breath for 2 minutes.
Oh, so I'm in bad health then. Good to know.
That's why I was like, I feel like I've done it for at least a minute.
Oh, yeah. So yeah.
Well, we don't find ourselves submerged in pools of water very often.
That's true. That's true. We, as a human species, or at least our path has led us away from drowning as much as we can. Also, I think I want to preface this before we even get any further in the stream. There have been some dark clouds around us. So if we end up hitting like maybe a storm or something, that'll be fun.
Yeah, if lightning hits. I mean, lightning's been hitting outside, so
yeah,
we'll see.
That would be fun.
Lightning, wind, and dark clouds.
Another thing to think about is that so all these are little small rules that can go in. So if there's ever like a situation where you're like, I want to go underwater, the DM's like, okay, you go underwater. Just let me know what's your con mod. Great, you can stay underwater for this many minutes, which is fun. So there's always a little small rule about something. So your world seems a little more lifelike. There's also vision and light. There are different types of light, types of visions. Obviously, a lot of people like the dark vision.
Well, most classes have it. Like, unless you're a human, like, there's very few classes that don't have dark vision.
That's true.
If you just get like a luck of the draw, then well.
So there is bright light and dim light, and something that's not listed here, but I think it should be listed here, is sunlight. Sunlight acts a lot like bright light. However, it has a better property, obviously, because if a creature is weak to sunlight, or it can be affected by sunlight, then obviously that is something that needs to be deferred. Like if you pop out a drift globe, it only gives out a bright light. It doesn't give out sunlight. So if you're versus a vampire, that's not going to help you. Yeah, it's not actual sunlight.
You need fucking daylight.
You do.
The spell.
You need a daylight, or you gotta trick that that vampire to go outside, trap it, which can happen, which would be nice. There's also lightly obscured and heavily obscured. Usually, what this occurs is. This is usually when it comes to like hiding, or someone's hiding from you. So if you're like walking down a forest and someone runs behind a tree that's thick enough to hold, hide their entire body, I would consider that heavily obscured. You turn around, you don't see anyone.
Doesn't their AC go up because of cover?
That's different, actually. So, actually, heavily obscured would generally mean that you're behind full cover. So you would have full cover. So even if someone tried to shot at you, they couldn't hit you. However, if you were like crouching behind like maybe a barrel or something, I would count that as being lightly obscured when it comes to hiding. But when it comes to your coverage, in terms of AC, you would probably have like a +2, or depending how big it is, probably like a +5. There is, when it comes to coverage, there is a difference. There is a half cover and 3/4 cover. 3/4 cover is basically like you're hiding behind a giant tree, or you're peering through maybe a crack in the
Crack in the door.
Crack in a door, crack in a window, where only like maybe your face is being shown because you're trying to like peer through and see what they're talking about or something, and they see you and they shoot at you. Well, you've only got a little part of your face showing, so that you've got some pretty good coverage. But if you are simply like maybe standing over maybe a small barrel or a smart box, and you're just sort of standing behind it to sort of maybe duck around and get cover, you'd probably just be half cover. It's all about the DM, whatever they decide.
Excuse me, sorry. I was trying not to yawn.
Let's see here. Yeah, there's like rules for like food and water, but I don't think about that because I'm not going to do a hardcore mode where you guys have to drink every day and eat every day. I assume you can do that.
I mean, we kind of do that in the main campaign just by rule of thumb.
Yeah. I like the fact that you guys do, like, there are times where you're like, let's go eat something. Let's eat, and I'm like, perfect, we can cover this. You take the to-goes and now you have some rations. Let's not make it full. I will usually let you guys know prior to this, or prior to anything, you're going to be going somewhere where you need some rations. Like the desert.
We normally get them anyway. I even remembered rations for the stupid horse. I was like, wait. The horse is going to starve to death.
It's really good. Also, there's sort of rules for resting. You're kind of well aware of this.
Unfortunately.
There are short rests and long rests. Most of the better skills refresh after a long rest, meaning that you either take 8 hours of sleep, or if you're a class that doesn't require 8 hours, maybe you take only 4 hours of sleep. Basically what you're doing is you are, for 8 hours, or for how long, whatever this takes, you are immobile, you're not doing anything, you are essentially just sitting,
chilling,
closing your eyes, relaxing, meditating. You are not conscious at that point.
I meant the cat, yeah.
Warforges, I believe, they also They do not require a long rest, however, since they still need to sort of recharge in a way. So they could stay awake so long as they are not moving. They are sort of just stationary, letting their body, or at least their being, sort of recuperate.
Like a sentinel?
A little, yeah, like that. Yeah, perfect. So there are races out there that...
I think the only one that like doesn't get dinged so much by a short rest and not a long rest is the warlock.
Yes.
Because you get your spell slots.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to short rests, that is a full hour of uninterrupted rest. So
they don't get their hit. You can only roll hit die though, right? They don't get their hit points back.
Exactly. So, well, you do get your hit point backs depending on if you roll die. So.
No, I mean but it's not like a long rest where it's automatic. You
No,
have to roll die.
You have to roll. So each class, depending on what level you have and what class you've chosen, you get a number of hit die. And what that means is like a little pool of dice that you get to roll, and they start to get bigger and bigger as you start to level up. And when you start to short rest, you can roll these hit dice, and you can then add up that number with whatever your con modifier is. So if, let's say your con mod is 2, and you roll a 2, that means you get back on that one roll 4 HP. And you're like, well, just one roll? No, you can roll as many hit dice that you have.
Yeah, but once you're out until you long rest.
Actually, not even that. Once you're out, let's say you have 4 hit die, and you roll 3. Well, when you take a long rest, you get half your hit die back. So you only get 2 back, so you have 3 left.
I think that the app does it for me automatically, so I don't pay attention.
I think so, yeah.
And I don't normally use my hit dice.
And you guys generally don't put yourself in a situation where you have to short rest.
Yeah.
For now. We'll see.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
We try sometimes.
Yeah. And of course, at any point where you are short resting or long resting where something interrupts you, or you are doing something strenuous like casting multiple spells, or, you know, maybe training, like really heavy training, maybe something that doesn't feel relaxing, the DM can tell you, you don't heal, you don't end up spending your hit die, or you don't get your long rest, you know, something happens where you are continuously moving and you don't feel rested.
It's us in our other campaign.
Yeah,
We've been trying to take a short rest for the longest time. And
there's also a little rule here that I like to implement, is that if you say to your DM, I'm going to take a short rest, that means the DM is saying, great, your character is mentally saying, I have to rest for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
However, you say, I'm going to take a long rest, and you sleep for 6 hours, and you have 2 hours to go, well, if you get interrupted, that's it. You don't get a short rest, you don't get a long rest, you were trying to get REM sleep and you didn't get it.
Unless you're like an elf.
Unless you're elf, you know, well, like in that scenario, I would say 3 hours as a hypothetical. There is one warlock feature, evocation, that I believe it's called like something night along those lines. Essentially what it does, it allows you to never sleep. So you become basically a warforged where you could just sit down, rest for 8 hours or 6 hours, however, keeping your eyes open. You could do light activity.
Be like a weirdo.
Yeah, you're doing light activity. You're just maybe walking around the camp, walking around. Nothing too heavy. Take a drink or something. As long as you're not pushing yourself. There's also something called downtime. Downtime, I don't think you guys haven't had a chance to do downtime. But I think that's our group.
Yeah.
Our group generally is like, we need to get shit done.
Yeah. We talked about that though.
Mm-hmm. So downtime is
I mean, we rest when we need to rest. Or like we feel like, fuck man, for fuck's sake, we need to rest. And people are just like dropping like flies.
Yeah. Downtime is essentially when the DM says, great, you completed something, or you have some free time, letting you know ahead of time that there aren't going to be any encounters or significant encounters. It's essentially a way for a DM to tell your players, hey, you're going to relax for a bit. Your character's been through a lot, so for the next how many days, your characters are going to hang around in the space they're in. They're not going to wander off too far, but you guys get to have a little mini adventures, So essentially I would tell Vera, hey, you know, you're gonna stay in town for a bit. What do you do for 2 days? And then it gives the characters a little time to be like, oh, I want to explore. Okay, then you can start role-playing that. Because downtime doesn't necessarily have to be boring. You know, it doesn't have to be like 7 days go by and nothing happens. No, I mean, things happen in the city all the time. You know, you could a circus comes by, or maybe an annual festival, or maybe there's an annual pub crawl and you want to participate, and we'll have
an annual pub crawl.
Pub crawl, and you want to participate. You know, anything can happen. Or maybe you really want to get into a fight. You really do. And you go through some of the pubs and they go, yeah, we'll put together maybe an underground fight ring for you guys. We have one, you know, don't tell the cops. And you participate. It happens. Or maybe you go shopping. I don't know. There is, ironically enough, there is a lifestyle expense thing that I don't implement in my game. Essentially, you can do like squalor, poor, standard, rich, and like exquisite or something along those lines, and that means every week you spend a certain gold amount to keep your lifestyle up. That doesn't make any sense to me, because you're adventuring. There is no staying put and trying to find the finest chinaware for your table. It's not like that. Or paying for like the best food. You're traveling, you're gonna pay for whatever's given to you.
I mean, there's sometimes we pay for the best food, but that's just because, I don't know, we're fancy sometimes.
This made me question. There is a couple other things you can do during downtime, like recuperating. Obviously, if you're like exhausted, you need a couple days of sleep. Practicing a profession, researching, and training. And they actually have little stats here, like you can train for 250 days, and you know, costs $1, you know, gold a day, and you can do something, you know, up to the DM, whatever they decide.
You don't really do that either.
I don't. Maybe I will, but then again, you guys haven't really stayed in a place long enough to do any downtime. So, I kind of count my blessings that you guys are that type of group where it's like, no, let's just continue going.
Yeah.
So, I don't really have to worry about it. It's not really in my, it's not really my concern. When it comes to combat, we talked about combat in the past, and I think you know this now. What are the beats you get in combat? What options are available to you?
Oh, you mean like an action, bonus action, and movement? What? There's more? I don't know. Reaction?
Ah, there it is.
Some people don't have reactions, so
all people have reactions. You can do opportunity attacks.
That too.
Yeah. So essentially, when you roll initiative, when it comes to fighting, you guys are put into an order, and when you go from the top to the bottom and go back to the top, that is one round. So round, round, round. Each turn takes about 6 seconds in real life, or in the game time, I should say. So you slash with your sword, you back up, you move a little bit. That was 6 seconds, essentially. Everybody has an action, a bonus action, movement, and a reaction. I'll go with the less complicated one. Movement is what it sounds like. Yeah. I mean, there's like characters who have...
But you can use your movement to jump.
You can.
But you have to make a check. Unless it's like you're just doing a little hop.
Yes, yes. Actually, that's a good point to bring up. Let's say you have 30 feet of movement, most characters do, and there is a 5-foot gap. Well, you can definitely 5 foot to run, 5 foot to jump over the gap, land, and then 5 foot, 5 foot. So long as you're not moving past your 30-foot range, so from your point to this point, and the gap is in the middle, so long as you are stopping there, you can jump. And of course, jumping is its own little fun little activity. But yeah, you can jump as part of your movement. The other less complicated thing is reaction. Sometimes. This is where we start getting a little more complicated. I feel like reaction is the less complicated thing.
I always feel like bonus actions. But it depends on what you're playing.
Yeah. Maybe bonus action is the.
Because I mean, if your bonus action is just like, oh, I can hit or I can sneak or whatever the fuck, like that's something easy. But like if it's like a spell that does this or that, it's like okay.
Bonus actions are generally given to small features, or something can be done in like a split second. Essentially what this means is you can use a bonus action to cast a spell that doesn't require a lot. Like, I think Healing Word is a bonus action. You know, you can heal. This little motion here to say something or move your hand is like 1 second. And it does something. And then you can use the rest of the 6 seconds to do an action and move. Bonus actions are a bit tricky because people go, well, I have a bonus action. I can do another action. No. Bonus action is separate. Bonus action is usually used by class features or spells like a
druid.
Yeah, like
if you're a moon druid.
Druids can wild shape as a bonus action. That's a little perk they get as a moon druid.
And there's some rogues that can use, or I don't know if it's all rogues, but I know there's certain rogues that can use a dash action as a bonus action.
All rogues can use. All rogues have a thing called Cunning Action, which allows them to use their bonus action for special features, like dashing, so you can double your movement, or you can do an offhand attack, so you can attack once with your attack action and attack again with your bonus action really quick. Except it doesn't have a lot of bonuses, but you get a little extra, oomph in there. Or you can hide as a bonus action if you're a rogue. So you shoot someone, you run behind cover, and you hide. So maybe you can, escape their sight. So bonus actions can get a little muddled. Always look at whatever abilities you have, and it'll go and describe what bonus action is available to you.
I was gonna say, make sure you don't. Don't do two things that counteract.
Yes.
Because I think that was my biggest faux pas when I first started playing. I was like, what do you mean I can't do that with this? Not if you're doing this. It's like, hey, I had to learn.
It takes time.
And then some things aren't labeled, so then you gotta go look them up. Like even the DM doesn't even know.
Yeah, and always ask your DM if it's possible. Because I like to do a custom roll where if it's I attack with my action, can I switch my weapons as a bonus action? Absolutely. It takes a second. Put away a sword, go on the other side, grab your hammer. Or maybe using two hands. Put away your sword, grab your hammer. That takes 1 second. And you're trained in martial weapons, so maybe you can do it. Or maybe you go, I try to open the door, and you reach for the door and open it, and it's actually not locked, so it doesn't require an action. Yeah, you can open a door as a bonus action. So it's all situational, and it's something that I like to implement for my players. So if they want to do something out of combat, or something quick, or whatever it takes, or especially for Dealer's Choice, which is a magical item, switch a magical stat. It's something I can do. That way their bonus actions don't feel like it's been wasted.
Remember when I first started playing, I was like, do I get one of those?
Yeah. I remember you were talking to me, you're like, I didn't know what a bonus action.
I never told you that I felt that way, though. I was just like, I guess I get one. Because I started reading, and I was like, okay, it says bonus action. And then I was like, I didn't think I got one. I was like, dude, so like a special thing?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to use it, necessarily, if you don't want to.
You know what? Maybe we'll talk about reactions last. I feel like reactions are the less complicated, but I believe they require action to be described, so that way you can get into it. Actions is basically your biggest thing on your turn. Biggest thing. It is what you use to attack. Maybe you're a cleric, and when you use the attack action, you have one attack. Grab your maul. Or you grab your, what's your thing, a Morningstar or?
Mace.
Mace?
Never get that right.
I'll never remember it. There are some classes where it allows you to attack twice as an action, aka a fighter, a monk, an artificer, if you're taking a certain subclass. So you can attack as an action. It only casts one action. Some bonus actions require that you use an action attack, like a monk. They have a thing called offhand attack, so you can use your action to hit, and then you are given the option to use your bonus action to one more hit, which is a thing. You can also use your action to cast a spell, which generally most spells are an action.
Some are bonus actions, but not
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. You can also spend your action to dash. So let's say you are running and you're about to miss the doors that's starting to close, and it's about 15 feet. You go, I use my action to dash, and you, instead of attacking, you really start to squint, and you push yourself to go 30 more feet. Or let's say you have nothing. You know, you're expended as a wizard. You have no more spell slots. All the cantrips you've done to this monster is no longer there, and you're trying to protect your now weakened cleric buddy. Well, you can take the dodge action, meaning that you are now prepped, ready, waiting for whatever this creature's going to do, and now the creature has disadvantage trying to hit you because you're ready to duck out of the way. You can also use the disengage action, and of course, all rogues get this ability at bonus action.
Runs away.
Yeah. So I'll get into why this is important in a second, but essentially what you can do is you can walk away from a creature's range without getting attacked, and there's a reason for that. That means we have to describe reactions, but I'll get into that in a second. There is also the help action. This isn't used a lot. Generally, it's used out of combat. So if someone says, "I want to investigate this, piece of artifact," and someone goes, "Well, I'm going to help you. I'll help you. I'm going to look too." Where you go, "Okay, great. Well, one of you can roll
with advantage.
Or you can do it either." So the help action allows you to do something with advantage. This also works within combat. So if you are running to your friend who's fighting a demigorgon, and you go, "He really needs to make the shot, so I'm going to help him." You go, "Well, how do you help him?" While he's aiming, I tell him when to shoot since I have a better line of sight. Perfect. That's a perfect way to help. Now give your friend advantage. You're helping them. There is the hide action. You can actually hide as an action. Usually this is done whenever the DM says, "Oh, you start to hear something coming," and you guys go, "I try to hide." That's using an action to hide. Unless you're a rogue and you can just go, done. Now before we get into the last, there's also the search action, which is whenever you're in combat, you can basically use an investigation or perception, or you can use an object as an action. Generally this means you used a magical item that's on your person. Or maybe there's a button or lever that you need to flip, and it requires you to use all of your strength and your time. That's using an item. That's what it's considered, or an object. So to describe reaction, which is the last thing you get, reaction is generally that split-second ability that you have. Some classes, like yours...
Shared burden's a reaction.
Shared burden is definitely a reaction. Some subclasses do get the ability to use the reaction to something really, really cool. Most of the time, reactions are... someone is fighting you, you're within 5 feet of each other, and they are about to book it and run. They don't disengage, they just start to back away. Well, once they turn their back on you, you can use your reaction to get a free hit on them. And yes, even if you're a fighter and you get 2 attacks, you only get 1 hit. Not 2.
Attack.
It's an opportunity attack. That's exactly what it is. And of course, there are some feats that allow you to switch up your reaction and your opportunity attacks.
Cat's being weird.
Yeah, he's being really weird, isn't he?
He ran. What? Nope. Run away.
So, this is where we need to discuss readying an action. Readying an action, and you've seen our players do this. It's kind of
holding an action.
Holding an action, essentially. It's called ready, but it's essentially holding an action. Either way. This can be done... Essentially, you can grab any of your cast a spell, use an object, help, dodge, or attack. You can use a lot of these. I think they're like dash is taken off from this, and I think dodge is the only one since that requires movement. Buddy, if you're gonna cry, come over here. Come on. You gotta stop crying. So, readying an action essentially means you tell the DM what you want to do, and you set a parameter or a trigger. So you go, I stand by the door. I can hear people walking, and you go, yeah. The DM goes, yeah, you can. Okay. All right. I get my sword out, and the moment they walk out, I will swing at my sword. So you've gone ahead and described a scenario where you go, the trigger is once they walk out, my action is to attack. Now, even if you're a fighter and you have multiple attacks, you can only do one. The reason being is when you ready an attack, you're using your action to hold, and you use your reaction to do it. So even if you're doing a spell, you're holding the spell in your hand, and when the trigger is met, you reaction, release it. So it has some concentration where you have to hold the spell in your hand, or hold your holy symbol and cast the divine power. But you have to concentrate to hold it. And if someone hits you while you're concentrating, you could lose it. So if you're readying an action and someone hits you and the trigger doesn't happen, you could lose it, depending if you roll low on a concentration check. So this is where we get a lot really complicated when it comes to like D&D. So that's pretty much the big bulk that I want to talk about. I know that the title also says tips about role-playing, but I'd figure I'd ask one of my role players if you had any tips for people who wanted to get into D&D, and what would be the best way to role-play a character?
I'm not good at role-playing. It took me a long time. I don't know, but I think a tip I took was like, what do you want for them? You have to think, not like yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, what do I want this person to be? How do I want them to act? What's their background?
Does it take a lot of like mental, dedication?
I feel like, yeah, but it also depends on the type of person, because like Jeff, there's people that have like, sites that just create a character, okay, we're done. I can play now. And then you figure out the rest later. And I don't work like that.
Yeah. I
very much like create the person and like, okay, what's the backstory? What is she like? She or he? I always play a woman thus far.
I could safely say I played a woman way more than I thought I would. I honestly think that the next time if I ever get invited to a big thing, I may play a woman, because I've done it so many times it doesn't matter anymore.
So yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the person. But like, I don't know what I was doing with Kara. I think I just kind of was like, well, what's her turmoil? What's her reason? Because like, as you put it, you don't adventure if everything's
happy
just,
people
like,
don't adventure.
Super great.
You are a noble prince who lives in blah blah blah, and nothing's bad happening in your town. Why the hell would you go out?
Well, she was a noble princess, but stuff was going to shit, so she was just like, I'm gonna go fix it, because none of y'all are fixing it.
And that's why you went out. But if nothing happened in your village, why the hell would you go out? You're like, I'm living the high life. It's fine.
Yeah, initial goal was just my reason. And then you guys already had your campaign, so I was kind of trying to fit her into the campaign. I didn't realize how well I fit her until later.
It's up to the DM to get like your idea and go, I can make that work.
But yeah, I think it's just concept, really. The rules and crap for me came later.
Yes.
Because I'm very much a type of person, like, I need to do it to learn it. And like, I mean, I can read it and I'll understand, but then like in the moment where it's like, oh, it's your turn, and you're like,
yeah, I think when it comes to D&D, it is very much a trial by fire.
That's why I kind of like Critical Role. I mean, like, everybody stumbles, like, and it's annoying. It's just, everybody stumbles, and you're just gonna have to be like, well, when it's your turn to fucking fumble over whatever you're doing, just be patient.
You know what?
But I like how he's like, oh, like, you're up, you're on deck, meaning like you're next, so you better be thinking about what shit you're gonna do.
I need to adopt that.
But I will say that doesn't always fucking work out, because you could be like last in the initiative and you're like, okay, I have this plan and this plan, and by the time everybody's fucking gone,
the situation has changed.
This plan is no longer valid, and I don't know what to do now, and it's my turn. Yeah. So like, I don't want to like fault players for that. I know you get mad, like you don't get mad at us, but you get mad watching other people.
So I watch Critical Role and I'm like, come on, do a thing, come on.
And then there's acceptance also. I think that a lot of players don't like acceptance. Like, you gotta accept if you're in a very tight situation and maybe you're like running out of options, that you only got a few fucking options. So either you're gonna do them, or you're gonna hold a fucking action, or you're gonna move or run the fuck away, because there's nothing else you can do anymore.
And by the way, there are encounters. If you play D&D, there will be encounters that you're not supposed to win.
Yeah.
That you're supposed to run from. You guys recently had that experience with 2 trolls. You guys were not ready for that.
Steve, if you're there, you're stubborn as fuck. Roll it as stubborn as fuck. I was just like, no, we need to go.
You guys were not ready for that. And that dwarven man knew it. So it's, in D&D, there is no shame in running away.
See, but my initial goal wasn't get on the horse and go. My initial goal, I can say it now because it's already happened. I wasn't sure, and I don't know why the fuck I did this now. Like, after doing it, I was like, why the fuck did I do that? I was like, Zone of Truth, maybe if they're in the same circle as me, they'll believe me that that's not her, because we all know we're telling the truth. So that's what was my goal, but only one fucking did it. And it's just like,
and also you are the only one who knows who lies.
Yeah, so them. I was like maybe maybe I can convince them that like that's not her. And then I was just like, they're
not gonna work.
Fucking trolls. I don't know what I was doing, but I freaked out and did it. And then I was like, okay, this is not working. And we were getting like hit and hit and hit. And then I was just like...
And they were rolling really well, strangely enough. And they have negatives to like intelligence, and I think they have like a baseline for wisdom, and they were rolling super fucking well.
But we also weren't fresh out of the gate either at that point. So we were like traveling. So we had already had like stuff done.
Yeah, but you didn't have like encounters. You were fresh.
No, I know, but like,
combat-wise.
But I was just like, I think I had used some spells, and I think we all had done some stuff. So it was just like,
I don't think so.
Well, I think I used at least message.
You did do that.
So I was just like,
you did cast message.
I was like, fuck. And then, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna blow all my spells, and then one of us is gonna fucking die, and then we're still gonna have these trolls. So I was just like, nope. That's why I was like, get on the fucking horse, let's go! Like, I couldn't think of something else to do.
And another thing to do for any potential DMs out there, because now you guys already experienced this and I can now talk about it, is introduce too many excitable things.
Well, I mean, I feel like you did this in Nomad, the one we didn't stream.
Well, the reason why I say this is because a few sessions ago I introduced to kill a basilisk for 600 gold, to participate in a fight for however many gold it was, and to do something else, and I forgot what it was. You know, I introduced too many things for you guys to do in a single, you know, in a week. Because it was too much. And you also had some pressing matters, like the mark on your neck. There were a lot of things happening. So I knew that one of these things were going to be forgotten, or were going to be put in the back burner. As a DM, if you do this to a player, they're going to think to themselves, well, I can always come back to it next, you know, I can come back to it. The world is continuously moving. It doesn't revolve around your players, though you should always build your story around your players. This is true. But introduce a little bit of a foil, you know? Make it that the world is alive. They didn't kill the basilisk.
Yeah,
so another party did it. There are other parties out there. They're not the only adventuring party. You know? And I made this party of 4 led by a black dragonborn woman. They killed it. They're fun. You know? And so it's fun that way, because then the party, like, you guys actually had that reaction, especially Temple's character Savannah was like, our money. What the fuck? And I was like, hey, it happens.
I know, well, because we're that type of group, but like, reality check, like, we're not going to be able to finish everything that's in front of us. So it's just like, it's kind of funny that we were all disappointed. I think I was the only one that was like, eh. Because I was the only one that understood, like, there was no way in fuck we were going to finish. Like, we had the journal, we had the mark, we had, you know, other people, like, interfering in our lives. Some people we didn't fucking expect. Some people died, so it was just like, no. Vera, I think Vera also doesn't care, because it was just like, that was her dad's thing. Yeah. Like, if I want work, I can just go up there to the fucking board and do something.
I was gonna say, more than likely what you could probably do is you can probably just ask your mom, and she'd be like, I'll just give you no, well, it depends on what the task would be.
Yeah.
I built your mom a little bit like a protective mother. Like, that's why she was kind of upset that you're like, you left us? And it's been years? What the fuck? Where have you been?
It hasn't been years, it's been months.
Since you visited?
I don't know.
I know.
That's up to you. We haven't worked that out.
Well, I said years, so that's canon.
It's not years.
A minimal of 2.
Because we got engaged and then he died, so it couldn't have been that long.
You got engaged and you stayed for a few months. And then he died, and then you were gone for another few months. Remember, 2.
That's like maybe a year.
And then you traveled that. Well, then years could essentially mean over a year. Like 1.5 years. It's a type of scenario. So years is canon.
Yeah, we worked out a lot of shit in my backstory, but not everything. Like, some was just like, okay, when we come to this, then we're gonna have to work it out.
And I think that's another tip when it comes to like D&D tips. It's all improv. Not all of it, but like majority of it's improv. You know, when it comes to timetables and when it comes to, you know, history events, it's all improv. You know, of course, whatever you say as a DM makes it solid. I tell a story about a queen who's been dead for centuries.
I think a good tip is,
needs to happen.
As a player, if there's a class or a feature you're interested, watch somebody else use it. Mm-hmm. Watch somebody else play it. Watch somebody else do it. And you don't have to like how they play it, but now you know how you don't want to play it, or how you don't want to use it, or how maybe you do want to use it. Like, I think that's a better way. I mean, honestly, it just depends if you learn. If you can read the whole book and be like, yeah, I got my shit down, I'm good to go, let's do this. Praise to you. But I think also seeing somebody play something you want to do gives you kind of a better idea versus like, okay, I made this person, and what the fuck do I do with it now? Yeah.
And
like Fathomless Warlock, I didn't watch anybody do it just because there was nobody that I was personally watching doing it, but it was something that we read about that I was like, I really want to do that. I really want to do it, but I was just like, maybe I don't for a one shot, but I ended up doing it anyway because I really wanted to do it.
And it's a great way. I always recommend, if you guys ever have a chance, if you're new to D&D or if you're played a little bit, play a one shot. It allows you to explore a character and a subclass that you may have never played before. And that way you can start playing a bunch of subclasses and you can go, I really like this one. Next time I go into a big campaign, I'm playing this one.
You can also workshop it, because I always workshop with things with you, generally, because I'm like, oh crap, and you're like, you have to choose all this. Okay.
And it does. Which is another reason why when it comes to one-shots, if you're a DM, never make your one-shots like over level 8 or 10 or something. Don't make it high level.
I mean, I wouldn't say that because I mean, like, referencing Critical Role again, there is like a level where they're in there, like they're all level 20 and the campaign's over and it's just for pure shits and giggles, like to see who would kill each other.
Yeah, I think that's a special type of case.
Yeah.
Because that's less of a one-shot and more of just a battle royale.
Are you making biscuits, buddy?
When it comes to... Because when it comes to level 20, characters never die. Or it takes a long time for them to die. So... And no, actually, I take it back. They did have level 20 campaigns, and there's like the Search for Grog, you know, and things like that. But again, even when we were watching Search for Grog, they were even like extending the.
I don't think they were level 20.
They were.
Oh.
Because Percy was shooting 4 times. And that was after the Vecna thing, because it was a Search for Grog, and so that was essentially they were level 20 at that point. No, what I'm trying to say is, even in that scenario, the one-shot was going too long. Because remember, they were like, we have to hurry. We have to close this up. We don't even have a time to do, like, you know, a recap.
Oh, he was doing, like, time events, I think.
Yeah, well, the reason why is because level 20 one-shots, or level 20 games, take forever. Everyone has a billion features that stack upon each other with a million movements and a million attacks, with special conditions of magic and spells. It takes for... Why are you hissing?
Because I moved his leg.
Why are you hissing?
Now he cuddles with you. He's a fickle one, this one.
He is. Old man. Anyways, so yeah... I always recommend for DMs, if you're going to make a one-shot, make it level 4, level 5, something small. You know? That way you can get more into the character. I like to roleplay characters, not abilities.
You do. I don't feel like we really roleplay any abilities, unless like we're trying to get one over on Rolly sometimes. Then maybe sometimes, and then it's funny.
It's so weird. I always feel that Rolly, unfortunately, because of the subclass he chose, is such an underpowered barbarian.
Why do you say that? I thought he was supposed to be like OP.
In what way?
Didn't he pick like the Way of the Juggernaut?
The Way of the Juggernaut is a siege barbarian who can attack constructs and buildings and do extra damage when they start to get higher levels. That is such a specific condition. You know, if you were a totem barbarian, you would get resistance to all damage except for psychic. You know, or if you were a zealot barbarian, you can give everyone advantage or heal. You know, or if you were a guardians barbarian, you can do AoE attacks as you're starting to rage. It is. I feel like the Juggernaut is such a limiting class, but he plays it well, and you know, he's now transitioned to less of a siege character and more of a one-on-one. Like he'll push someone, take their spot, and be like, "Let's go." And now it's just me and you, like a 1980s like a action flick with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's just me and you now.
It's true.
Whoever tried to... remember those movies where it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's trying to fight someone? Who would ever try to fight that Austrian man?
When he was at his max?
Yes.
I don't know, somebody stupid or very brave.
I'm thinking of like the Running Man, and he would go into that Coliseum and try to fight. Like, who the fuck was trying to fight him? Come on.
I mean, you can say that about like Ragnarok. Like, who the fuck was gonna fight Hulk? And then it's just like, well, we're against our will. I guess we're fighting the guy.
That's pretty funny. That's a good way of having it.
But yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on your learning type, and then you could go from there. Like, what do you really want? Because I mean, some people don't role play. Like, I don't role play. Like, I don't really role play in our first campaign, which is with you and Nick, with the one that's been going on for a few years, just because our dynamic is a little different. Like, you guys role play. I was kind of like the new kid on the block, so I wasn't sure what the appropriate threshold was.
You're like, definitely the group mom.
I'm my tummy growled.
You're definitely the group mom, because it would be me and Raleigh just freaking around, like just fucking around, and you go, "Come on, let's not." You're gonna get us thrown in jail.
Well, I think I play her that way because of what she is. Like, she's a noble. She was taught to act a certain way, but she's not like hoity-toity. Like, she's very much like, I'm gonna be in control of this one day. Like, I gotta learn the ins and outs, and I want to take care of these people. That's how she is. So, like, she's been with you long enough that she wants to take care of you, but she also knows that you guys do a lot of stupid actions that land you in hot water. And so she's just like,
it is always nice to have it is always nice to have a moral compass in the group.
So she's like, something she very much like, I know Nick was like, okay, now that you've made it this far, what actually does your character think? And I think that was a good thing to do.
I like that, yeah.
Because I was like, well, I think she's a lot more accepting of like the group and their actions, and she understands that like some bad shit's gonna happen, but it needs to happen, and that's it. She's not gonna give a lecture, but she's never really given you a lecture. Like, she's not like Vera.
No, you haven't.
Like, she's never like, she's just quiet and gives you a look like.
I don't even think Vera's given a lecture.
Not yet. I think she probably did, but like it was a mini one.
It probably was to Moscow.
I think it was a lecture to Savannah, like you drank something from some random person that you remember.
I really love the fact that she said something in the last campaign, or the last session, and that was something along the lines of, yeah, I'm paranoid, or yeah, something along the lines of, I was a kidnap victim, why the fuck would I do that? And I was like, oh, that's so good. I'm so happy you said that.
It's because of the doppelganger. And she was like, why would I go up by myself? Should I take you, not him?
Yeah, that's right. That's what she said. She was like, why would I go alone? Kidnap victim. Why would it's just, I loved it. I
think she made a call back to that too. She was like, I accidentally drank the stupid vial. And I was just like, at least you're learning.
Yeah, I think it was with Moscow, because she goes, you think I'd learn by now for not taking this stupid fucking thing. She'd take it, she'd be like, I hate myself, why am I doing this? And I'm like, that's good role play, because she had a backstory, a problem, and now she's just like,
yeah, no, Kara doesn't, but I think Nick realizes I roleplay when we're in fucking shit. Like, when we had to go, an example is we had to go like against members of high society and then do like a court sworn trial, basically.
Oh yeah.
And she chose her words very carefully, and I didn't. And she only spoke when spoken to, and then she was very reserved. So that's why I remember Nick was like, a very noble answer, and I was well, yeah, that's what she is. That's what she's taught to do.
It was so good. It was so good. Nick really fucked me on that one though. I was really pissed off. I was like, come on, man, really?
You were going. You were like, I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna get her. Wasn't even her. I was just like, and we were all like, I don't know what the fuck was in that donut, but it's to go in.
A little backstory. We're in this meeting, this interrogation room, and I get served tea and cake and coffee and donuts.
Because Quinn's not the proper one, and he assumes we gotta bring something like a potluck.
Yeah, so I'm coming in, I'm like, I brought donuts, like I would personally, if I were going into a big meeting, I'd be like, I brought donuts, everyone. And of course it's not appropriate, but someone does accept it, I forgot. One of the families.
The demolition dude.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I'll take one. And someone brings me a tray with like a mat. Mm-hmm. This is my other character, the one that's not streamed. It's usually our Wednesday game. And Quinn, who's my character, he's a fighter. He reads and speaks Abyssal.
So that's why I just go.
There's a backstory, but there's no time to get into it. And he starts to read. There's actually words in Abyssal on this mat, and it's like, you need to piss off this family member who's interrogating you. They,
they're related to like the issues that are going on.
Yeah, they have. You need to really make them mad and bring them out, because if you do, that'll get you one step closer to your goal.
He did mention though that like the person that was doing that was like the one they wanted you to piss off. It looked like their relative, like it looked like their sister. Excuse my stomach again.
And so immediately I'm like, well, damn, this person knows I read Abyssal. It must be true. And immediately the entire interrogation, every chance I get, I start to antagonize this really high high influential society member.
I think she was just more confused than like angry towards you. Like she was definitely upset, but she was just like, the fuck?
Yeah, who's this fucker? And so I'm doing that the entire time, and then I walk away, and our DM Nick is like, why don't you roll just like an intelligence check? And I roll a natural 20, and he's like, you start to think about it, and you start to think,
they look alike. They sure look alike.
They sure look alike. Maybe this was like a family member trying to like set you up. It felt like a setup. Like I used an insight check, I think, and they were like, you rolled a natural 20. After you start to walk away, it felt like a setup. Like they were trying to make you look bad, and I was like, oh shit, I made an ass out of myself.
Well, didn't you give her like something for an apology or something? I thought you did.
I did. Well,
I think you did.
Where are we now?
Yeah, where are we now? Oh, we're in the fucking tunnels.
No, I'm gonna do it afterwards. I still have it saved, I think.
Oh, I thought you gave it to her.
No, because I asked for a meeting, and I have it ready, and I'm planning to give her a dragon's scale as an apology.
Oh.
So I don't know. I'll role play that when it comes. But regardless, I made an ass of myself, and that was funny.
I also think bringing some of your personality, but like I think Mike's, you gotta watch your metagame thing. But like a funny part, and I honestly don't know if this is part of his personality. I kind of think just the way he talks. In our Sunday campaign, yes, we have this many fucking campaigns. There's a fighter named Chad, and he's very much a Chad. But like
he's a fighter wizard.
Me and Mike actually do play, because we're husband and wife in real life. We play husband and wife in this campaign.
Something we've actually never done before.
Yeah, we've never done that. And and every time we're talking, like we're a very like calm couple. We don't really fight, I think, except for the times you go.
We're one of the few who have very high wisdom.
Yeah.
So we're like.
I thought you're not wise.
I have a 20 wisdom.
Oh yeah, I have a 20 wisdom.
I'm a fucking really wise monk.
Yeah, so we're very wise. And then like there's Chad who's like, are they talking? Are they talking like they're only talking to each other?
And he sits in the back. He's like,
so he's like, I'm sitting in the back eating something like chips or like something he would eat.
I'm biting on jerky.
But like in our campaign, we're totally aware that he's there the whole time. Because my passive perception, I think, is a 19. And like obviously if you hear somebody going in the background, like you know they're there. But like we just talk like he doesn't exist. And he does it every chance he fucking gets. And he is this like assassin dude. Like my character recognizes his armor. He's a soldier. And like he's like a group of supposed like assassins though that like weren't good and like weren't known for good things. And then there he is just in the background like chilling. And like now he's afraid of dolphins because like wild shapes. So D&D
guys, D&D is the best game.
It's like a very interesting fucking thing.
If I can describe a scenario of an elven soldier who is a fighter wizard is now deathly afraid of dolphins. You know you're playing D&D. At that point, it's like, what the fuck you do? What? He's afraid of what? He's like, no, it's D&D. What do you expect? And he's hanging around with a blue-skinned monk, a noble woman who turns into fire elementals, a Forbolg who is a cow person, who strums a lute, or a hurdy-durdy.
Who's a druid and a bard.
And he hangs out with a metal man. You're playing D&D.
Yeah.
It is the weirdest. I think that D&D is probably one of the...
Well, he's a Warforged, right?
It's one of the... Yeah, he's a Warforged. It's one of the games where I don't think you can easily explain to your parents, like, I play this. It's really fun. Oh, tell me about it.
I mean, the guy that plays the Warforged, his character's name is 42, but he cracks me up too. Like the fact, like we were in this intense supposable meeting with all these people that we were doing a job for, and he was like, I don't understand why these people don't have chairs, and his whole thing is like crafting, and he's like, I must stand over there in that corner and make a bunch of chairs and table like real quick and take it out of my body. And there he was, and they were just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? No.
He is a forge cleric. A forge cleric is a very interesting subclass of cleric. Essentially, it's like, I think they have an ability, an innate ability where it's free, where they can start to magically craft items, depending, if it's not complicated. So he's like, he sees all the captains of this ship. We're all like on the sea, and I'm a captain, or at least my character is. And we all sitting down, and he's standing in the back like, I don't have nowhere to sit. And he's like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna start pulling some wood up. I'm gonna start making my own chair and tables. Hey, you guys want to sit down? And he talks like to some of the other sidekicks of the other captains.
We were supposed to be like the security, or like, I don't know, like they called on you for a question, like if you were in the group.
What do they call it? Like, is your entourage?
Yeah, your entourage or your escort or whatever the fuck, your security. And we were just supposed to like stand, be quiet, talk when spoken to, and then there's this dude. He's like, that's like, why are we standing?
Everyone's sitting. I'm gonna build a table right now.
You scared the cat.
I know, I scared the cat. But no, 4H is amazing. I think he's really funny.
Yeah. So tips. Maybe watch somebody for the class you want to play or the spells you want to cast. Or you could slightly model it after maybe a character you like, or like that you'd really want to play.
That is a great tip.
Or maybe you just want to pull like bits of your personality, because each of my characters has a bit, and I feel like I've played very serious characters or very somewhat serious characters, except for Lilith, which I modeled her after Harlequin, and I was like, she was just very much like weird. She likes weird stuff. She likes to play. She's very friendly, and that's like, they're bits and pieces of my personality scattered through these array of characters that I've had to play.
I'm calling you because I know you're gonna go to the other room and you're gonna start crying. No, that's brilliant. Yeah, take essentially a part of yourself. If you're,
I'm very introverted, if you haven't gathered, but like I try.
If you're a super introvert, like if you're like, I don't really like to talk to people, I'm not very charismatic, play a very uncharismatic person. And use that to your advantage, because then someone would be like, you there, what are you doing there? And you as the uncharismatic person, and you as the uncharismatic character would be like, and that would be perfect. That's not playing to a fault, that's playing to your character, because then your character would be like, I don't know what to fucking say. Your character just says, that's what you do, because you're a very uncharismatic person. You're just like, and maybe like you're very, you gave out good advice. Maybe that's a wise person. Maybe you're a very wise character now.
I think it's also, it's gonna be who you're comfortable with. And I know that like some people, like they just get together and they make a game and they're like, I don't know that person, but like we're gonna try the threshold. Like I think a good one in Sundays was when they gave the Warforged a dream. You were technically the one that knew about dreams, but like I had them too. So then I remember we were just sitting there like calmly talking, and I was like, oh, do you want to talk about it? And he was like, and I was like, I can help you, right? Like I have dreams and I can maybe help you interpret. If not, like, I could get...
I have... My character worships the Lady of Dreams.
I was like, and if not me, like I can get him to see what he thinks. I can tell you what I think. And then he was like, oh, okay. And then like in character, he was like very shocked that like my character even asked. Like, so it was a very interesting dynamic for that thing. And I was just like, yeah, like.
You know what I had open? While we were doing that, I had in a separate page a dream journal like site.
Yeah.
So when he started to talk, I was like typing things out, and I was like, all right, because I've said this already in the last game, I am not a wise person. I give okay advice, but I think
we don't think it's wise until like somebody else looks at it. Like I don't know if Aaron's in here, but like last time he was like, for not being wise, you gave wise advice.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't see myself as wise, so I don't play. I don't really like. I generally don't play wise characters.
I feel like,
Bolight's my only wise character.
By accident, and I don't know fucking why. I think I have a little magnet on my head. People ask me for advice a lot. So I think it just comes natural to play those types of characters. But I'm also very quiet, so like they're very quiet, or I give them a background.
Wise people are quiet.
I give them a background where they're quiet, like where it would make sense for them to be that way. Like Kara has come out of her shell. the oldest campaign we're in, a lot with you guys. But I mean, she was never like introverted. She was just reserved. Like, you know, I help you, I talk to you, whatever. She was not an introvert character. I didn't make her that way. But like, she's just like, I know when to be, like, when to talk and when, you know, talk when you're spoken to with certain types of people. Like, you know who's around you at all times. You kind of know, like, that ain't a good idea right now.
I honestly, I like your suggestion that use a part of your personality and use that as a character.
I don't use the whole thing because I feel like then it's just you. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you use a part of it, then
you can shape it.
Yeah, you can play with it. The thing me and Temple emphasize is like, you're gonna get Amber and Temple's voice. I don't do accents, and if I do accents, they're weird, and then I can't undo them, or I mimic. Like, sometimes it happens on stream where Mike does an accent, and then like I follow, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm just like, it's a character, but it's my voice, and that's it.
Sometimes it just fucking happens. Something like that. But no, like I think I honestly think that the biggest character I made so far in this newest campaign was Moscow, because he was such a three-dimensional character that
I don't think you're a fuckboy no more.
No, but I was telling you a while ago. I go, Moscow represents every corny confidence I ever have. Like, any bit of confidence where I can scrounge it up and go, I'm the fucking best. It's that corny confidence exemplified. So it is a part of personality where, you know, Moscow would come into a bar and be like, what's going on, ladies? I personally would never do that, but I can definitely fake it. And if I ever, like, if someone were to bet me $100 to go to a bunch of ladies and say, what's going on, ladies? Just say that to them. I would go, hell yeah, I could fake that. And I would go around to a bunch of ladies and be like, what's going on, girls? And so it is a part of my own personality that I have. I can definitely be a fuckboy and an asshole. But I would...
Context.
Well, what I'm trying to say is I can act like one. But I would never do it because that's not who I am. It's just a very exemplified part, tiny part of my personality. And that's what you can do with characters. You can definitely pick, you know, your skill of getting good advice. Now you expand that, and every time you start to give good advice, you can go, I tell you to calm down. You know, it doesn't always have to be, you know, harmful. And you can give like good, wise advice and sound like a sage, or you can be very bombastic or deceptive, or maybe. And I think those are all soft stats. When it comes to like strong stats, like your constitution and your strength and your dex, that's a little easier to play off because then you can go, my character dodges. It's easy to say so because you have a high score, you know. But when it comes to soft stats, like being a dumb person playing an intelligent character, that's hard to do, man. And I'm a dumb person. I play intelligent characters all the time. It's hard to do.
You're not dumb.
What's going on? How's it going? How's your night going? Excuse me as I polish off my potion of restoration.
Mm-hmm. It's from the Heroes Who's book. If you're wondering what the fuck he's calling that for.
This is 4 shots of drink. I'm already feeling it, man.
Yeah, I know. That's why I have a blanket. It's like 49 degrees here. It's probably less now. We were gonna have a lightning storm. I was driving home. Oh, excuse me, 46 degrees.
I was driving home and I saw 2 lightning strikes off the distance.
And then it just like kept hitting.
I didn't hear thunder. So that told me it was super far away, but I was facing it, so I saw it very clearly, and it was very crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think using a part of your personality and exemplifying it is a great way to do roleplay.
Like I said, watching other people, that kind of gets your class down, but you can also watch how other people play their characters. Like maybe they do something you like, or maybe they, like, again, don't feel pressure to do a fucking accent, because with me it ain't happening. But
what's that, governor? It's me.
Yeah.
S'mores.
Over the weekend we were watching, I forgot what we were watching, some cooking show in the UK.
Oh no.
And we were watching it for so many hours in the background.
We were watching like 3 cooking shows.
I just started talking like that, and then I was like,
are you recording?
And then I was dying laughing, and he's recording me, and I'm like, no. And he sends it to the other group, and I'm just like, I go, this is what happens when you fucking mimic people, because I do this, like, I think the worst one I've ever done is, like, I used to work at a movie theater, like, when my late teens, early 20s. I won't say how old I am.
You really want food. This kid really wants food. He
ate already.
He did.
He just wants to get in the trash. And there was like a Belgian student, because she said, oh, I'm a Belgian student coming.
Belgian? I have never heard of that.
And then so she like, I didn't say anything at first. So like she's talking, and then she was like, hello. And then she told me what she wanted, and I was like, and then I said whatever I was going to say, and it came out almost with her exact same accent. And my face was, oh fuck, she's gonna think I'm making fun of her. And I'm like, oh no. And I was like, and I had to explain myself. I was like, that is not directed towards you. I tend to mimic whatever I just hear.
You know what the funny thing is?
So I'm very sorry. And she laughed, so I hoped it was okay, but I was just like, oh my god.
You know what's really funny is that you probably, it's like when someone from the England tries to do like an American accent, like, I will have 5 cheeseburgers, please.
Yeah.
You know, they probably heard that coming from you, and they were like, oh, well, that's not my accent. You know.
Oh no, she realized it. I think.
Oh shit.
That's why I was like, uh-oh. That's why she laughed. And I think Tom, I know Tom's probably not in here, but Tom from Astro, we were talking about this, does the same fucking thing. And I'm like, it sucks. Because it took me a while to realize what was wrong. I was just like, okay, why do I do that all the time? And it's just like, because I hear it. And in the moment I hear it, I'm like, oh, don't say nothing.
A really nice story I like to tell, generally when it comes to this subject, was I used to work for the San Anita racetrack here in Cali. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I love this movie because it's usually pretty appropriate when it comes to the subject of like accidentally copying someone. I used to work for the San Anita racetrack. I used to work for the marketing team, or for the promotion team, sorry. And I was stationed in a place where a lot of their like jockeys and horse owners were stationed, and so I was there just giving away swag stuff. Yeah, working for the promotional team sounds a lot more expensive and a lot more exclusive than actually just saying you work as someone who hands out free shit. And so I'm there sitting, and of course there are horse owners from all over, and trainers too from all over the globe who come to San Anita racetrack because it's famous. And there's this one guy who's Australian, and he comes in, and he's like, "Oh, it seems like you're giving away like umbrellas here." And I didn't think of it. It just clicked, and I went, "Oh yeah, we got umbrellas." And I just start to feel the sweat. Just everything is like trickling down. He's like, "Oh yeah. Well, I don't have a ticket, so you think I can go ahead and snag myself an umbrella?" And immediately I'm like, well, if I say anything in my normal voice, it's gonna sound like I was fucking with him, so I better not stop. So I didn't stop for 5 minutes, just going, "Oh yeah, you got yourself an umbrella." He's like, "Oh, which one is it?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's 3:18. And he's like, "Oh great, that means I'm not gonna miss the flight." And I'm like, "Oh, you going somewhere?" And I'm like, "Shit, go away, please." I want this conversation to end. I can't end it.
Oh,
I think what ended up really happening was that like he said goodbye, I said my goodbye, and he left. And immediately, the moment he turned his back and left, I turned to like my boss or like the person who was overseeing me, and I went, "I gotta go to the bathroom." And I left, and I stood there for like 5 minutes just going, oh, and I was wearing a suit at the time, like a shirt and tie, and I was like sweating. I was gross. And I hated it, and I was like, it was just anxiety. That's all social anxiety right there.
It was bad. I don't think that's the one I remember the most. I know I've done it to other people. Like, I think we were talking about this, like, what stuff means in different languages. So if you're gonna, like, incorporate that in a character, fuck, God bless you.
Oh my god.
Like, because I have bangs, obviously, and I used to work at a place with a lot of vendors, and they were like, "Oh, I like your fringe," and I was like, I told Mike,
Your fridge?
Is my fringe.
Oh,
and
fringe.
then I was like, "Oh, you're this," and I was like, "Oh, my bangs," and I was just like, what the fuck? So
I think
Fringe.
Was it you or your dad who tells a story that he was at a gas station and someone was like,
no.
Who was that?
That's me.
Oh, was it you? Or someone was like, hey, can I borrow a torch?
That was an Australian guy, I think. And he was a vendor from Australia, and he came in to buy a bunch of shit. And he asked me for something, and I don't remember what the term was, but I know he wanted like a measuring tape. And I looked at him and I was like, a what? And he was like, a measuring tape.
A leg stick.
And he's like, to measure. And I was like, oh, a measuring tape. And he's like, yeah, I forget you guys have different names down here. And he's like, well, at least
down here, we're sideways, bro.
He's like, at least I just needed the measuring tape from you. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I went to the gas station and I went in and asked the attendant if I could use a torch. And he looked at me like I horribly offended him. Because he said, I need a torch to look underneath my car. And he said, I'm not giving you one of those because he's like, you'll set the whole place on fire. And then he was like, and then he had to go into detail like what a torch, like
light.
He meant a flashlight.
I need a flashlight.
So he was like, to look, and he was, so he was like, I think there was like a flashlight you could buy, and he was like, one of these. Oh my God. He was like, oh. I was like, you're lucky you didn't call the cops on you. This fucker wants to light the whole place on fire.
If I was the thing, I'd be like, no, you gotta explain more. I want to know more about this.
I'd be like, what?
We learned recently, because we were watching all those cooking shows, that they call cake over there sponge.
We thought that they were making
sponge cake.
Specifically sponge cake, because that's a thing
that's
lighter than regular cake. And I was like, man, they make a lot of sponge cake over there. And then I was like, no, Mike, I think they just call all cake sponge. And he was like, nah.
I didn't say nah, but I was like, really? And so we watched like another episode, and they're like, we're gonna make sure that your sponge is. They were like, they're interviewing each chef, and she's like, I've got to make sure that my sponge is okay. It can't be too hot because I have to cut it.
And I was like, see, they call fucking all cake sponge.
They call all cake sponge. And again, if we have any like European viewers,
this is mind blowing.
This is mind blowing because we're uncultured.
Well, like
I like how you're like, well,
I don't know. Well, okay. Well, here we have like a specific type of cake that's a sponge cake, and then there's like normal fucking cake. I don't know.
I wonder if there's any slang that we say that they don't understand besides measuring tape.
Aluminum.
No. I said slang. That's a different pronunciation.
Basil.
That's another pronunciation. That's not slang.
Probably. Apparently, flashlight and bangs.
Yeah, I'm just wondering into the ether, I'm not really looking for an answer. But, yeah, all right, guys.
And measuring tape, whatever that word was.
I think we're going to call it a night here. Thank you so much for hanging out. A few things to announce before we call this a stream. First of all is that we will be streaming tomorrow once again for session 18, I believe.
I think so. I'm in charge of the schedule and I don't remember.
Of Magic at Mossad, I think it is session 18.
Yeah.
Next week.
Next Saturday we will be here.
We will not continue Magic at Mossad for just 1 week. We're going to take a week break. Some of us have some family stuff to get done. However, that does not mean you're going to be out of content. That Sunday, so the day after, the 21st, we will have our one-shot with some really awesome artists and crafters and makers. We have Dungeon Journals, which you can find her on Instagram at Dungeon Journals. She makes like handcrafted leather-bound journal character books or character journals, where you can like put your character sheet and you can write notes, and it's also for dungeon masters. They want to take notes as well, and it's all made from like buffalo leather and really well defined. And everything looks like very much handmade and just careful, like everything with love. And also, if you'd like to see some really cool cosplay, she does that too. We also have another player called Titanfish Killer, who does amazing like chibi art. And you start to go through her gallery.
She's done some different types of art.
And she's done different types of art that also blows your freaking mind. I think she's done a character art for her own character, and it looks absolutely immaculate.
And I love it, and I won't give it away, but I love it.
It's so cool. We'll just say one thing. It's a drow, and I love it. Yeah, it looks really cool. But yeah, she just got a new avatar, which looks really nice. Looks slick, clean. I like it. But yeah, she does also commissions. I'm not sure if they're open right now, but if follow her because she will announce when she does have her commissions open.
Also on Instagram.
Also on Instagram. A lot of what I'm announcing is usually from Instagram. That's where we got a hold of these amazing crafters. There is Vecna's Laboratory. Vecna's Laboratory does a lot of dice boxes.
She does a lot of resin. She does dice boxes. I think she does books too, but not in the book like an actual book. Like it's like a container.
Yeah, it's like a box that looks like a book. Like dice boxes, resins. I think she had like a cup holder ashtray type of thing. So she does like a lot of like D&D accessories and paraphernalia, which looks really amazing. She has one that looks like a gelatinous cube. It looks really cool because it's like even has like little like swords and shields and skulls inside of it, like it was dissolving in acid. It's so attention to detail, and I love it. Let's see. So that's journal. There is of course, Cozy Gamer.
Cozy Gamer Dice.
Cozy Gamer Dice, which you can find on Instagram. However, her site is Cozy Gamer Shop.
Yes.
So that's cozygamershop.com.
You can also find her on Etsy because I actually bought 3 sets of fucking dice for her. So
she is an amazing dice maker who makes a lot more than that. I've come to find she makes dice holders, crocheted. She makes shirts and things of the like. But majority of what her stock is dice made from resin. I think there are also like metal ones as well that she may have.
There's one that I don't know if it's resin or something else because it's like, it looks like marble, but obviously it's not marble and it has the little cat feet. I like that one like the most. Yeah. But go check it out.
She makes some amazing dice that you use pretty much all the time. Rolls well. She has such a large selection of different colors and designs that if you're looking for something, you'll find it with Cozy Gamer. So these are a lot of people who we were really excited to work with. We were only going to work with people we wanted to. Like we enjoyed their work. So I'm happy that we were able to work with some artists that we absolutely enjoy, and we're happy to promote as much as we can.
Also, shout out to the Petite Geek. That's also on Instagram. She modeled one of our Arcane Focus shirts, the outline, and she also models.
We're not wearing.
Yeah, we're not in them today. We'll probably be in them tomorrow. But no, she does a lot of modeling and a lot of promotion for actually a lot of creators herself. Yeah. So definitely check her out. It's the_petite_geek on Instagram. Mm-hmm. I like actually a lot of the creators that she helps sponsor and helps promote. There's one that I think it's like the Mage Hand clothing shop or something like that.
That's a good name.
And it's really cute. I like their stuff a lot. So go check that out. Not sponsored, but these are all people that we've worked with, that we enjoyed working with, and we like what they do. So that's why we're giving them a little mini shout out. Yeah. Right now.
So yeah, I when it comes to the Petite Gamer, she's an amazing model who she has like these amazing backgrounds, and she's always like fucking makeup on point and shit. You know, she looks amazing.
She had little ears. She had little elf ears.
She has little elf ears. She has her attention to detail when it comes to modeling is like A+. Yeah, if you're ever looking to work with her, you can always reach out to her and see if there's any availability. Depends on. I can't speak for her. It's always dependent on whatever they're able to do. But a lot of the things that they promote or what she promotes is absolutely amazing, and we're happy that we were included. What was all you?
Yeah, you can see the pictures on our Instagram, and I gotta do it, and then probably our Twitter too. I think I put it there. I gotta do another one with her stuff again, so you'll probably see it soon.
All right, guys. Well, I think that was all the announcements we had. Again, hang out with us tomorrow as well as next Sunday, and then we'll be back on a regular schedule.
Following week.
For the following week.
Hopefully there's no tears this time.
We don't know. Thank you for hanging out with us, Morpa. Thank you so much. And anyone else who's lurking out with us, I know that not a lot of people like to chat, and we do this for you guys who lurk and for those who are in VOD. Thank you. But yeah, so anything else? No?
I'm good.
Yeah, hang out with us tomorrow for session 18. at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Almost 20. Almost 20. We're getting there.
We're getting there. All right, guys. Check you later.
Bye.